It was on or about August 16th that I entered the Dollar General on North Side Drive. And as I went into the store, I was approached by a person on the left there, and I think she might have been the manager. And she told me, she said, "Ma'am, she said, you only got about 15 minutes to shop." And at that time, I was kind of inquisitive because I thought that the store closed at 10 o'clock. And before I had left my vehicle, it was 9 something. And I said, I know it didn't take me that. I was thinking it didn't take me that long to get into the vehicle. And I assured her, I said, well, I guarantee you that I will not be here past 10 o'clock. So at the time she told me, she said, you're going to leave before 10 o'clock. And I hurriedly, because, I don't like last minute shopping anyway, because I used to work customer service myself. And I know that at the end of the day, the employees are ready to go home. So hurriedly, I purchased my items. Yeah, I think it might have took me a few seconds to grab my detergent, and I think at the time it might have been some tissue. So I hurriedly grabbed those items, and I proceeded to checkout. And as I got to checkout, I presented them with my military ID card. So as the cashier ran the card, she told the person that was there, I think she was the manager or something. She says, I have never done this. She said, so I don't know how to do it. So the manager at that time, I think she was the manager, she proceeded to do the transaction. And I think maybe she didn't know how to perform it, especially with it being my military card. And see, if I didn't present her with my driver's license because my driver's license had been cracked. And to me, it was kind of embarrassing for me to present my driver's license. So after the manager attempted to run my military, she said, well, I'm going to need another ID card. She said, because that did not go through. So my assumptions were that the system might have been down. So she ran it and she said, well, I can't run it. She said, it's not going through. And so I just stood there and I said, I asked them, I said, ma'am, ma'am, I said, what is the number to corporate office? And I asked several times and nobody replied. So at the time, I said, well, maybe they didn't hear me. So I asked another time. And she says, that was the manager that told me, she says, I don't want to go through this today. She says, I'm not going to argue. I said, I'm not arguing. I said, okay, well, I'll just get it from the search. And at the time, she was real nasty. She had attitude, but I kind of ignored her. And then she told me, she said, after she had tried to run that ID card, she says, well, you're going to have to come up with something else. She said, because another way to pay. She said, because this is not going through. And so I told her, I need those items. And I said, I'm going to get those items. That's what I told her. And as I went out the door, because I was going to present her with my driver's license, and as I went out the door, she pushed me on out the door. And somehow my arm got like trapped in the door, and I just put my foot in the door to keep her from locking me out. So when I stuck my foot, she says, "Move your foot." I said, "No." I said, "I would like to get my items. I would like to." She says, "No, you're not coming back in here." And I said, "If you would please, would you allow me to go to my vehicle so that I can get my driver's license?" I said, "I'll show you my driver's license." I said, "But they were cracked." So she says, "No, you're not coming back in here." She said, "Look at these people." She says, "These people see you." So I said, well, I have not done anything. I said, ma'am, would you please? I said, allow me to come back in. And she continuously said no. And so as I looked, I saw the people there. They were standing there. She was holding the door, and I was trying to get back in. And so, like, it was kind of embarrassing to me for the customers to just stand there. And so I moved away from the door. And at the time, I waited until one of the customers came out. And I asked her, I said, if you would, I said, let me use your phone so that I could call the police officers out here. And so I did. I called them. And see, but my thing was, okay, she told me I only had 15 minutes to shop. But there were other people coming in behind me who she just let in the store. There was others that, she just let them on in the store. There was no discrepancy. And then another thing was, it was really humiliating to me to be treated the way that I was, because as I stood to that door to try to get back in the store, she stood there and she knew that I was, had an age 68, because she stood in my face and she told me, she said, "Oh, you're old." She said, "You're old and you're embarrassing." I said, "Embarrassing?" I said, "How can I be embarrassing?" I said, "I just only want to purchase my items. You're not going to get back in here." And she stood there, and instead of her, because it still wasn't 10 o'clock, instead of her just letting me back in the store to purchase my item, she stood there and she out muscled me, and I feel that I was harassed that night. I was humiliated, and I feel that she discriminated me because of my age. Because she stood right there in my face and she told me, "Oh, you're old. Just look at you. You're embarrassing." You know, and I mean, that night I was just, of all my 68 years, I have never been so embarrassed the way that she treated me. And and I feel that she was supposed to be a leader. Where was her leadership at that night? That she would do me the way that she did me. And then she tried to put the blame on me. Ma'am, I am an evangelist, and it's not my character. I could have easily called my children, but I am here to preserve the peace, not to fight and get rowdy. And then my thing is, you know, I went back into the store the next day and I talked to the manager that was over the store, and I explained to her what had happened. And evidently, the machine was not down, because it was stated that the machine was not down. So why was my check ran through? And the manager told me at that time, she says, "Well, she's going to get in trouble." She says, because this is her third time doing this. So in turn, I asked her, I said, her third time, I said, "This is the type of, you know, leadership that we have, that you all have allowed her 3 times to do what she's doing." And I said, "What have you all done to her?" I said, "So what does it take?" I said, "Does it take a fourth victim for you all to do something to her?" And I had talked to, I think his name might have been, Michael Corley. And I think at that time he was the district manager. And he assured me, after I told him what had happened, he said, "Well, the machine was not down because you came right back the next day and you purchased your items." I said, "Yes, I did." He told me at the time, he said, there were many discrepancies. He said, even if it had been after 10 o'clock, he said that she should have waited on the customers anyway. And my thing is, I know for a fact that the store is not shut down until the last customer has left. And evidently she has a habit because she told me the lady that I already took confrontation with, she told me, she says, we shut this store down at 9:45. You know, I don't care what time she shuts it down, but but my thing is, I don't think that I should have been let down and embarrassed because she shut the store down early. And for her to act the way that she did, I just think that, we don't need leaders in the stores. She's there to service us. You know, we just don't need that type of leadership. And my thing also is, why would it take a fourth time? I was the third victim. So why would it take a fourth time for them to do anything if they have done anything at all? I don't know, but it, I feel that I should not have been treated the way I was treated. All I was wanting to do was just go in the store and get me some last minute items. So, that's